So Ethan Klein had a YouTuber called Cruel World Happy Mind on his show recently. He actually confronted her about a video that she had made on him, an in-depth deep dive into Ethan Klein. He ended up confronting her and asking her what she meant by a lot of things. It was him and Ela, but mainly just Ethan. A lot of people were talking about this, so I kind of wanted to dive into it and react to a little bit of it myself. Obviously, the entire thing is 4 hours. It's not entirely about the interview, but it is a very long stream. So I'm just going to react to bits and pieces of it that I found relevant or that I had commentary on. So overall, people were trying to say that Cruel World Happy Mind did really bad on this interview or did bad in this interview. And a lot of people were kind of saying that Ethan went in on her. From what I've seen so far, Ethan does hold her to what she has said, but he's not being mean to her. Like, there's several times where he says, "Hey, if you feel ganged up on, just let me know and I will dial it back." I honestly thought that Ela was going in on her stronger than Ethan was because Ela seemed to be upset from a personal place, whereas Ethan seemed upset from a personal place, but was handling it kind of with not kid gloves, but with gentle, gentle gloves. He was handling her a little bit more gentle than Ela was. So I want to point out just a few things. So fair warning here, I'm not team CWHM and I'm not team Ethan. I'm going to call both of them out where they're right and where they're wrong. Both of them. So be prepared for that if you're a fan of either one. They're both getting called out where deserved. I will say that Cruel World's Happy Mind seemed to back down on a lot of her points, but she did. There were moments where things that she made statements about, she would try to hold on to them. Like, for instance, at one point, Ela and Ethan said, "Did you say that Ela called babies like errorists?" And she said, "Well, what was the implication?" Like, Cruel World Happy Mind said, "Well, what was the implication?" And then she made them explain themselves and get clarification on it. Times like those were good when she stuck to her stance and wanted them to explain what they meant. But like here, for instance, I feel like CWHM, I'll call her that because it's easier, or I'll call her CW. I feel like CW on some points that were so easy to just argue back or just like let them know what she meant, she kind of veered off because she didn't want to insult them. Like, okay, this instance here where you see Ela in a silver dress. So they start to talk about how CW said something about how Ela's fashion is kind of sus because it's bordering too much on relating to children. Well, Ela says, "Well, what's wrong with the silver dress? Why did you include the silver dress?" And then CW doesn't seem to have any answer for it. And then Ela goes, "Is it because I'm ugly? Are you making fun of me because I'm ugly?" When I think the clear insinuation here is that they're saying that the silver dress looks like the, aluminum or foil wrapping. Like, that's what the insinuation is. They're just making fun of the dress. But Ela starts to be like, "What is it? Because I'm ugly?" Like, nobody said anything about her being ugly. That wasn't the implication at all. And I feel like CW could have just easily said, "No, we're making fun of," or not, if she didn't want to say she was, she could say, "No, the implication is that the dress looks funny, like this thing that this guy is wearing." That's all she had to say, but she didn't say it. I'll play it so you guys can see what I mean.
Like this outfit.
I did have more examples in this script itself, in my opinion.
In this part, Ethan asked her if she believed this to be a childish outfit, and CW seems to back away from it. She could have just easily said, "Yeah, it's kind of childish," because it is. I'm not saying it means anything. I'm just saying, yes, it's something a child would wear. She could have just said, "Yeah, I think it seems kind of childish." It's not that hard to say that.
Opinion.
I'm just looking at the video. This one actually,
on page 8.
This one I can't say that I understand at all.
But I will say really quick on CW's behalf, I feel like when you're being confronted by someone on the spot and maybe you don't want to be mean and be like, "Oh, but yeah, the dress is ugly," or "Yeah, you dress childish," or whatever. I feel like that was her major hiccup because she seems to care a lot about what people think and she doesn't want to misrepresent herself. But I think if you're going to say something like making fun of the dress, I think when they call you out, you should just say it.
The problem with the silver dress. What?
I think that it was just seen as funny.
But you know, like to make fun of me? Just because I'm ugly? Like, what kind of funny?
Eli, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Eli's trying to play the victim there because nowhere did they insinuate she was ugly. It was clearly the dress and then a reference of something else that looks like the dress. Where would she get that she was ugly from? That just seems like a way to be like, oh, you're calling me ugly, so that she can play victim in that moment and make CW look more mean than she is. All CW had to say was, no, it's just people poking fun at the way that the dress looks. I don't know why Ela would just jump to that assumption that, oh, they were calling me ugly. It's about the dress. It's not about your face.
You should look at the comments on Snark where this is found from.
Okay, again, I just played a little more, and Ela brings up the dress again. Watch this.
Ethan's very involved in Teddy Fresh and often, promotes the brand. And so, again, like I said, it just sort of...
You're talking specifically about comments made 15 years ago, right?
You just said this picture is funny. Like, I'm wondering what was funny. Can you... You didn't say in this video that the problem became Ethan's Reddit account. That's not what was said here. You said you have a problem with how I dress.
Again, I should have
you just said now that this is funny.
More in depth.
Ela's trying to do like investigative journalism about this when it's so obvious. The joke is that this dress looks like this. It just looks like aluminum or foil or just something funny to these people that are saying that it looks like this. It has nothing to do with her looking ugly. She's acting like they're making fun of her for looking ugly. No, they're making fun of her for her choice of dress that looks like this, which, yes, is not nice. It's immature. But to say, oh, what are you saying? I'm ugly? Nobody's saying anything about your face. If they were, why would they put a material that looks like your dress there? Why wouldn't they just put your face as the subject matter? It doesn't make sense.
Is it just making fun of the dress she's wearing?
I think that the photo was added in because
even Ethan is more reasonable than Ela. This is what I mean when I say Ethan was nicer to CW in this interview. And Ethan, I think, seems more rational in general than Ela when they're talking about, because I've noticed that Ethan will concede or be like, oh, I think they meant this, or I think I meant that. But Ela tries to go like full victim mode and will be like, what are you trying to say? What does that mean? When Ethan's like, oh, are you just trying to say that the dress is funny? Yes. I don't understand how Ethan and Ela can make so many jokes that they don't understand that people don't get, but then they don't get a simple joke like this. It's not that they don't get it, it's that they're pretending not to. But Ethan gets it. Ethan knows that it's just the dress. But CW just needs to say that. CW needs to just say, yes, it's the dress. I'm making fun of the dress.
Because it was seen as funny. And
what
the
do you
person that
think?
Edited it.
I'm asking you, what do you think?
But you're asking
do you
what
think
I
this
think?
picture,
Yeah, what's funny
what
about
I'm
it?
wearing is funny? Do you think I'm dressed like a pedophile? I don't understand. What is your point?
Yeah, I think that I think that if you're asking me what my specific viewpoint is on that particular outfit,
all CW has to say is, yes, I think that outfit is what people were making fun of. I just think it's a funny outfit. That's all she had to say. It's not that offensive. I think she's worried about hurting Ela's feelings because now she's like face to face with her. Because later in the interview, you'll see that she said that she changed her opinion on Trisha Paytas because Trisha watched her video and felt bad. So I think CW doesn't want to make Ela feel bad, but she needs to just be honest and say, yes, it was about the dress. Because now Ela's spinning it into all these other things about it being about her face.
do I think it's like really trendy right now? No, I don't think it's really trendy right now.
Okay.
Do I think
It's not
like,
trendy?
So the point is that I'm
I
out
don't
of
know.
trend. That would be a different video.
That's
Sure, you
like-
can make that video that I'm not trending
I don't know.
enough.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Sure.
So this is another,
you know,
your
kind of
editor
a-
kind of sneaking one in on you again?
it's a bit of a straw man, but if you want to talk about that particular photo, yeah, we can go in depth
Sorry,
about
what's a straw man?
that outfit.
So again, all CW had to say was, yes, we're just making fun of the outfit. We're just poking fun at it. Poking fun at it. Because she said before that when they zoomed in on a picture of Ethan's leg, she said, oh, that wasn't me, that was my editor. And I don't know what the insinuation was. When she does know what the insinuation was. That's what I'm saying. She should just be honest and say what it is. They'd respect her more. Everyone would respect her more. She's not going to offend anyone. She's there to fight her points. So she needs to fight them. So something as silly as like including a dress that makes fun of Ela's style, she could just say, yeah, we were just poking fun at your style. It was mean-spirited. We're sorry. We won't do that again. Or something like that. But don't the way she's going about it, where she's like, did I think it was particularly trendy? No. She doesn't have to say all that. Just say you thought the dress was stupid.
The photo itself?
The photo is in your video. How is that a straw man?
I mean, yeah, no, but if we want to debate the specifics of that photo itself, we can talk about that, you know. But if we want to talk about the sentiment that I discussed and, you know, why I meant that and why I think I should have expanded.
See, this is what happens when you don't just say what you mean. Now it's become this whole subject matter when all she could have said is, yeah, we were poking fun at you. Like, next. Like, yeah, we were poking fun at your style. Let's move on. Because Ethan's kind of right where he said, well, it was included in your video. Because now CW's like, well, why don't we talk about the sentiment behind it, what I'm saying? Well, yeah, you could. But now that you included that photo, they're using it as a distraction. And now they're using it to come at that specific thing. That's why you have to be careful when you make videos like deep diving or exposing. Because if you go off on like a random thing and you make fun of something random, people will completely dismiss your valid points and be like, what about that random mean-spirited point you made?
Did more on that. So it wasn't, you know, taken out of context. We can discuss that as well.
These are the looks, by the way, you included in your research to say that her clothing is childlike and quote unquote interesting. So, like, I mean,
yeah, I would say that is childlike
one?
and interesting.
The blue face is my artistic impression and how I interpreted famous art that I was inspired by. The other ones are Y2K inspired.
Yeah, and again, I would commend that for being fashion forward and everything.
I mean, you guys, I don't know why everyone's sugarcoating things here. Like the top photo of her in the Hello Kitty attire, and then the bottom photo where she was in like that quit-looking thing and the Tweety Bird thing. These are all very childish. Yes, if CW's point is that Hila dresses like a child, then just point those photos out and then just say, "Oh, I find the other ones weird." That's it. You could just be like, "I don't like your style," or "I think your style is sus." It's just so easy to say.
Okay.
Like I said, you know, Ethan's past comments simply, in my opinion, sort of undermined the
Just to be clear, we're talking about 15-year-old accounts posted from an account with the name troll in the name.
Okay, two things there. I do think that CW's point here that Hila's clothing line somehow is a reflection of Ethan's interests doesn't make sense. I do feel like that's a stretch. She probably shouldn't have included that in her video. I don't think that Ethan is what people are accusing him of, pred. But what I don't like about what Ethan's doing here is he goes, oh, so just to be clear, we're talking about like a troll account from 15 years ago. It doesn't matter that it was a troll account from 15 years ago. You still said what you said. You still said things that you even got onto Shane Dawson for saying and doing. You can't then be like, but I'm immune because it was 15 years ago. No, he was one of the people who came at Shane Dawson, rightfully so, for comments made a long time ago. Those comments still reflect what you thought, what kind of person you were, what kind of person you are, especially if you're not denouncing them. Like Ethan was like, oh, I have nothing to apologize for. Okay, then you're saying that you stand by those statements. But then he did trickle in some little things like, oh, I don't agree with those statements. Okay, well then don't say that you're not sorry for them. I just feel like this is all, they're harping on this point about her fashion just because CW isn't just being straight up and saying, you dress childish and I think some of your fashion's ugly. Like, it would just be so easy to say. Okay, now this is another point I have to bring up because it doesn't make sense to me. They start to talk about how Hila says, you spoke about how you were a victim of something, and I was as well. And she says that's why Ethan and I call out things like this. So take a look at this.
And then
Ethan and stuff. And I
then
think
the other thing, if I can also add, is that you say that basically like you've had your own experience. And I have too.
So,
I have too. And Ethan knows stuff, and we are both very sensitive to this stuff, and that's why we always speak up for victims. We're always on the side of victims. We always put other creators that have done bad stuff on blast.
Okay, the thing I'll say about this is Hila is right. Her and Ethan do call out problematic people who have hurt people. But what doesn't make sense here is if Ethan is so sensitive to this and you guys call these people out, why would Ethan have a pred troll account about kids? And why would you support that? And why would Hila support that, and why would Hila excuse that? Another thing is she says that they call these people out and they hold them accountable, but again, her own brother was accused of doing something to a young H3 fan, and Hila and Ethan condemned it, and then a while later, Ethan started to say, well, I wish Moses the best, and I really wish we could, be family again, even though he called him out for that specific thing. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that Hila's acting like, well, we would never do this because we're against it wholeheartedly. If you're against it wholeheartedly, why was Ethan trying to reconcile with a pred who hurt someone? And why did he have an account? Why did he have an account like that? Where he was making light of it? That doesn't make sense to me.
This stuff, and that's why we always speak up for victims. We're always on the side of victims. We always put other creators that have done bad stuff on blast. We don't let anybody push their stuff under the rug. When things come up, we talk about it. So I don't understand why.
That's not true, though. They're trying to sweep the own pred troll account under the rug, and Ethan was willing to gloss over the fact of what his own brother-in-law Moses did just to reconcile with Moses. On top of that, Ethan platformed a woman on Frenemies, Trisha Paytas, who has a bunch of history of essay, admittedly, and he brushed that under the rug because they had a successful podcast together. So that doesn't make sense to me what Hila's saying here. Now, a part here is where CW calls Ethan out for his pred jokes, and Ethan defends it by saying, well, he doesn't defend it, but he argues that he did it because those kind of jokes were popular at the time. So take a look at this.
I guess I wanted to ask, why did you use those jokes?
15 years
I could
ago,
understand.
15 years ago when I had that Reddit account, I have no trouble admitting that I was extremely slow at maturing. Very immature, very dumb, very cringe, right? At the time, jokes were super popular on the internet for some reason. There was the pedo bear joke, and just in general, people thought it was funny for some reason then. And
so the thing I don't get here is that he didn't let this excuse pass for Shane Dawson when Shane Dawson tried to say, well, those were the kind of jokes we made back in the day. But yet he's using it to defend himself by saying, look, I don't agree with it, but those were the jokes we made back in the day. But then why did he go so hard at Shane Dawson if those were supposedly the jokes that people were making? I think everyone knows that you shouldn't be making those jokes. I don't care what era it is. I don't think it's ever a joke, even to try to be edgy. But I don't understand why he thinks that it's an excuse to use for him, but it wasn't when he called out Shane Dawson for the same thing. For the record, I think both are disgusting. I think both shouldn't have been made. If Ethan regrets it and is calling himself stupid for doing it and is holding himself accountable, good, fine. But I feel like he keeps making excuses like, well, it was 15 years ago, and those were the kind of jokes that were being made, and I'm not sorry. Those kind of statements, I don't think help people understand that he doesn't want to be associated with the same things that he said 15 years ago.
At the time, these Reddit accounts, there was these really popular novelty accounts, they would call them, with a specific name that instructs.
Now, what I find kind of ironic here is that midway into the interview, somebody circles a stain on CW's sitting area to make fun of her, and she calls it out. And so why is this okay? But when she was making fun of Hila's dress, that was terrible. That's what I'm saying. If Hila and them are going to if everything's fair game and you can make fun of whatever, don't act like someone making fun of your dress makes you a victim and they're calling you ugly if you're then going to turn around and show a stain in their house and try to make fun of them. It's the same energy.
Who? That's mean. But yeah, I think, sorry, I'm looking at the stain now even more. But yeah, no, I
See, she says that's mean. It is mean, just like the dress thing is mean. But if Hila's going to act like a victim over them making fun of her dress, then why is she okay with them circling this couch showing a stain? Wouldn't Hila speak up and be like, no, guys, that's mean, don't do it? If she truly believed that mean-spirited things shouldn't be allowed? This is the thing I don't understand. You can't be a hypocrite. You either believe in something or you don't. So at one point, the Trisha Paytas 5% ordeal comes up, and Ethan argues that CW said that Trisha should have gotten a more fair deal because Ethan got 5%. So then it comes up about why CW in the past said that she didn't think it was a big deal, but now thinks it is. So let's listen to that.
Her in modern day?
Again, no, I just felt like I had done a huge, extensive video on my criticism of her. You know, a lot of my criticism is the same. I also think that, growth is there,
I guess I'm not understanding.
So one thing I don't understand about what CW says here is she says that the reason that she didn't say too much about Trisha is because, one, Trisha saw her video and reacted like she was hurt, and two, she claims that she sees growth in Trisha, which she must not be following her very closely because there's been no growth at all. I feel like people think that just because she got married and had babies, she changed, but she has not changed at all in the slightest. And I feel like people keep using that as a cover for her. Like back when Trisha was first pregnant, like the very second she was pregnant, she was like, none of my past matters. I'm pregnant now. I don't care about anything. So she used that as a blanket cover from the very start. And now she's influenced people to do the same. So I feel like CW has fallen victim to that.
Bring up the past is like, as far as I'm concerned, like, say this here, I'll say this now, like January 12th, 2021, when I found out I was pregnant with my baby, like everything changed. Like I am a different person. I am like, I just am. Like there's no, there's no going in the past. There's no nothing, because the past does not matter at this point to me about anything, anyone, whatever.
Understanding the logic, because it's not the same, right? It's you.
But if I can get to the 5%
yes,
aspect,
please, sorry,
so after covering that, I kind of sat with it for a while. I think I mentioned this in my live, but she had kind of done a video, and again, this is another situation of this happening where I have to reflect and think about the ways that I cover content with the idea of someone who's viewing the video, like the subject themselves viewing the video in mind. Because I think she had done a video, like a TikTok, where my video was in the background, and I forget, it was kind of talking about how hurt she was from some of the content made about her. And so after that, I just kind of reflected on like what criticism went too far.
Okay, again, I feel like she's fallen victim to this thing too, where she's saying if a creator reacts hurt to what she said, she's going to reevaluate what she said. That doesn't make any sense because Trisha will always act hurt when people call her out. So you'll just never call her out because she might act hurt about it. What about all the people she's hurt? This kind of line of thinking doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't fly with me.
And again, as I was making this video, I was reflecting on that a lot of that former video. Again, I'm not part of your crew. I'm not part of the behind the scenes financials. I don't know what took place. I don't, there's, various allegations. So I can only,
what allegations?
Yeah, I'm not sure what CW was talking about here. We do know what the deal is because Trisha made the deal public. It was that she got 45% and Ethan got 55% to pay the crew. That's what we know.
Like I said, the 5%.
Well, that's not allegation. I took 5% more.
Or whether that's fair, whether that's not.
Wait, why are you laughing when you say 5%?
Because it's become a massive, meme right. At this point, and is sort of blown out of proportion.
That was a solid answer. That was a solid response. That's how she should have been responding from the start of this interview, where when they ask her a question, she should just straight out say why she's doing it. Like he says, "Why are you laughing?" She goes, "Because it's a meme." Short and sweet. She should have said that every time they asked her, like, "Why are you laughing at the dress?" It's a meme. That's what she should have done the whole entire time.
And essentially, I was kind of reflecting on if that was sort of, fair for the internet to sort of make fun of the 5% meme, or if it was kind of people not taking someone seriously.
Things like, if 5% is worth a lot, imagine how much 45% is worth. Right?
Yeah.
Like.
Okay, two things here. CW obviously hasn't done enough research, because if she had, she would know that Trisha was actually completely fine with the 5%. She repeatedly stated in multiple pieces of footage, which we'll show here, that she didn't want to do any behind the scenes work. She loved that she was just a talent who didn't have to do anything and had no control over anything. I'm going to include that here, but I'm going to let her talk more first. But one thing I will say about Ethan's defense, I'm not fond of his defense either, because he goes, well, if you think 5% is a lot, what about 45%? Yes, but what about 55%, which he's getting? So you can't be like, well, she got 45%. Yes, but in 55%, that pales in comparison to 55%. That being said, I don't think he's wrong for taking 5% at all. I think this whole, oh, she was wronged unfairly and he got more money, I think the whole thing is stupid. I think 5% was completely fine. I think him taking 5% was completely fine. I'm on record saying that. I don't think there was anything wrong. I don't think he underhanded her in any way regarding that.
Like
No,
it's all in relation to
yeah. And again, like I said, my former criticism still holds. It's sad that, a working relationship devolved in that way. But I also think that, like, I think that, to me, my interpretation as a complete outsider is that, she did see it as a business relationship, and that she wanted someone, a producer of some sort, to be there to advocate for her, to make specific choices.
Oh yeah, so
she didn't feel like
I
she was
have
being
talked about
sidelined.
this on the podcast.
I feel like CW doesn't know enough of what she's talking about here. Trisha also wanted the entire crew fired, and she wanted her whole entire own crew. So by saying, oh, she just wanted a producer to advocate for her, that's not true. She just wanted yes men around her. Which is what she accused Ethan of having yes men around him. Which is ironic, because most of Ethan's crew actually sided with Trisha over him time and time again.
When she mentioned she wanted a producer, I immediately told her to find someone and I would pay their salary.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I
I'm pretty
just
sure
wanted
that's
to
even in the
mention
leaked
that.
conversations too, that she leaked.
So I wonder, like, what is your actual criticism? Are you saying that you think it's a bad deal for a talent to show up to a show? All they need to do is just show up and get 45% of that show's earnings.
I mean, I will agree with Ethan and Neil here. I feel like it was a really good deal on Trisha's part, because even as Trisha said, every other production company would have taken so much more. So I don't think this was a bad deal at all.
It's a bad deal in your opinion?
I guess my thing is, I think that she wanted a full business relationship. She didn't want to be the talent.
She didn't want that. That's not true. CW hasn't researched enough to know that. Again, this is where I'll include the clips, because this is where it's important. Trisha said time and time again that she did not want to do what Ethan was doing, that she just wanted to be the talent and show up. She said that repeatedly. That's all she wanted to do. She only changed her story later when she got upset with Ethan and resented him and wanted to turn the internet against him and wanted to have issues with him. She didn't really want the 5%. She said on her own personal channel, she said various places that she loved that she didn't have to do anything, and she loved just being the talent and showing up.
I mean, that's pretty much all of it.
That's why you get 55%. I get 45%. I don't have to do part of the work.
It's actually
Someone you call.
Okay, what do you consider me?
Like co-workers.
We're co-workers. Okay, whatever.
No, but we are, because you make me money, and, like, you know what I mean? You're kind of like, it's like boss, kind of.
I'm your boss?
Because you, like,
Nice.
control the money. You're like, you're going to get 45% and none of the highlights, and I'm going to pay you when I want, and, like, this is what we're going to do. So you kind of tell me what to do, but at the same time, I like it because I control everything else in my life. So I kind of like just showing up, and, like, you already have this plan. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I feel like that's... Podcasts are just, like, so much work. The one, my first one I had, the Trisha, like, that was just so much work. I was just like, I don't know. I guess I liked it, but it's like I did everything myself, so it was just like too much. I don't know. Maybe if I just like showed up and I was like, here I am.
Yeah, but I think it's.
I wish I could just show up and like perform and then like worry about nothing else, you know? But yeah, I like coordinate everything, and like that kind of stresses me out.
And Anila and Moses coming with me, and, like, you know, being in that vibe of like a talk show setting. So like Dan's there, and like it's structured, and I kind of just show up. It's kind of like I'm just like the talent, which is really cool because I do everything myself. I usually like do my music videos, and I'm always producing and stuff around. So this is like I can just show up and talk and have fun, and like people like it. I'm a part of. Am I just an employee?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're just.
So all the employees are.
I would say you're not necessarily an employee. You're a.
I think I'm an employee because you like pay me.
Yeah, but you're not an employee. It means you're like on salary or something. You're a contractor or something.
Independent contractor?
Yeah.
Oh, even better. I'm further away.
Yeah, you have no liability.
Okay, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Everyone's coming from...
No.
And again, from the
Was
statements
that a
I
criticism
saw,
of
I
me?
don't
I mean, that's
understand.
what kind of
Yeah.
how the business was started. By the way, she was treated as a full partner. I mean, whatever she wanted, she got,
exactly. And
right?
so
But it's
I
not
think
like
that
she had plans to become an owner of the company, or like there wasn't.
no,
I don't know what do you mean by that. That was
the,
not part of the discussion.
She called me
again, I
Julie
guess,
in the
okay,
DMs,
can
by the way.
yeah, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
My how would I say? I guess my question is when these sort of
I feel like she kind of glossed over that. Like, yeah, I don't agree with that, but I feel like it should be a bigger deal. And I feel like what Trisha did to Ethan should be a way bigger deal. I don't think CW should come on here and have the stance of, oh, well, you kind of cheated her out of 5%. Like, what about everything she did to Ethan? What about how she accused him of borderline harassment in the workplace? Like, SA harassment in the workplace. Like, there's so much more things that Trisha did to Ethan, and what Ethan did pales in comparison, really. It does. Because taking 5% and giving her 45%, which is a good deal, does not equate to what she did to him. And I feel like there's just more serious things to talk about.
Collaborative projects are started, like frenemies, are they treated like a business relationship,
Yes,
like
it
a
is.
collaborative business relationship? So I think that's sort of how it was viewed. Again, I'm not Trisha. I can't,
Yeah,
but
So what's
that's
the
sort of,
criticism of me?
But that is why the earning is 45%. It's not like a flat fee of like, I don't know, $2,000. It's a lot more than
What's
that.
the criticism of me?
Yeah. So again, reflecting.
Again, I feel like CW does not know what she's talking about here. She should have never even delved into this topic because she's trying to make Trisha a victim where Trisha is not a victim. I feel like many people fall victim to this where they believe something Trisha says and then will jump on it and be like, oh my god, she was wrong here. She wasn't. Ethan didn't wrong her here. I'm being honest here about where both of these people are going wrong, where CW is going wrong and where Ethan's going wrong. I'm trying to be fair here. I get the impression that CW looked into things on a surface level and didn't dive deep into them and just kind of took what the internet is mad at Ethan for, like just little various things. There are real serious things to be mad at Ethan for, by the way. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to call people out where they're wrong and where they're right. In this scenario, he's right because he didn't do anything in this scenario.
On my former content that I made about frenemies, that was something that I felt like, okay, I could see Trisha's side of wanting a producer that could advocate for her.
She
I could
asked
see
for
her
it, and
side
I offered to pay to.
Yeah.
This comment
And I'm
wasn't
glad to
even
hear
in the
that.
video, was it? Yeah, I don't think you even talked about that in the
The
video.
producer, yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
did you mention that she wanted a producer?
Yeah.
Yeah. But so that would be a good reason to take 5% extra. If I was like, I'll hire them and I'll pay them. I'm paying my whole.
And then the only other
She
thing
never
was,
invested any of her money.
Oh yeah, I paid for the whole set and everything. It was like $50,000 that I.
This part I will have. This part I have to side with Trisha, and I hate doing that. But Trisha did say, I will pay all the costs of what you set up, and then we'll go fair from that point on. Which, if she really wanted to, that would have been fine. Because Ethan and Ela are using it as like, well, we paid for everything, so we would get 5%. No, they would get 5% for the employee thing. That completely makes sense. But paying for everything doesn't make sense because Trisha even said, okay, I'll cover all those costs. Like, take all the money out that would cover those costs, and then we'll start from a blank slate, and then we'll go 50-50 going forward. But again, you guys, I don't think Trisha really wanted 50-50 going forward because she wasn't putting in the amount of work that Ethan was. Ethan was producing everything. Ethan had a whole entire crew. I think Ethan deserved that 5% just to confirm what I believe here.
But I never even asked for a penny from her for that.
And the only other thing was, I think a lot of people were laughing at 5% because it seemed like such a small amount in the grand scheme of things. As you said, 45% is a good cut. The reason, what I was trying to say is like, okay, if you're getting millions and millions of views, that 5% can end up being more than like what most of us would see, So I could understand how.
Yeah, but then the 45%
also,
is worth that much more too.
Yeah, of course. And again, but I'm just trying to, again, just look at that.
So you changed basically
in my
since you
original
covered
video.
it.
So you're changing your opinion?
Yeah, it sounds like you changed your opinion. So when you made the Trisha video 2 or 3 years.
Again, I feel like CW's opinion only changed because she started to have empathy for Trisha, and now she started to look at her as more of a victim rather than someone who was hurting people before, because apparently she called her out before, but now she doesn't. So it doesn't really make sense that she now is like, oh yeah, she got wronged with the money, when before she said that she wasn't wronged.
Years ago, you were very critical of her, making it about the 5%, making it about money.
I didn't look at that in my original video of just how much, like, again, 5% of, you know, again, I don't know.
But again, you guys, the 5% thing was not real. She did not care about the 5%. She only brought it up every time she was mad because it was something she used when she was mad as a weapon, as a tool against Ethan. This is not a scenario where Trisha was in a poor position where she was getting way less than Ethan. In fact, he gave her more money. I remember she wanted half of his members, but the members were strictly for H3. They weren't even really a frenemies thing. And I believe he gave her half of the money or a cut of the money, and his own fans were mad because they were like, we didn't sign up to be members for Trisha. We were members before Trisha. Like, that was a thing that they always had going on. I think that's the problem, though, where when you mix things with a certain channel. So, like, if it's on his channel and members already exist, she wouldn't really get compensation for that. But then I could also see why she would, because she'd be like, well, aren't some of those members, like, here for me? Which could be true, but then you would probably want to, like, backdate it to, like, okay, when did those new members come in? Should I get a half for that? Like, there's really no way to tell, like, you know, which members were there for her and which were there for him, but he already had them prior to her, so he probably had like a vast majority of them. So again, the whole money situation was complicated, but I don't think she was wronged in any way. I don't think Trisha was exploited on that show. I don't think she got an unfair cut. I feel like everything she said, she only said after she was already mad at him and wanted to take him down. And I feel like CW is falling for that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's all I'm going to do for now, unless you guys want me to review more. This is the only point I got up to because it's, like I said, it was like 3 hours long. So if you guys want to hear more of my opinions, let me know. Again, I am calling both of them out. This is not one-sided. This is not me being Team CW or me being Team Ethan. I'm just going to call out who's right and who's wrong point by point.